The Man Who Solved His Own Murder, based on real events. The Letter That Shouldn't Exist. The story begins on a warm spring morning in 2011 in the small coastal town of Tillamook, Oregon. The body of 46-year-old Daniel Haines was found inside his home, a respected accountant, quiet neighbor, and father of one. His wife, Elaine, had called 911 after finding him slumped over his desk, a single gunshot wound to the chest. Police initially labeled it a suicide. The weapon lay beside him, fingerprints matched, and the door was locked from the inside. For weeks it looked straightforward. No signs of struggle, no missing valuables. But something felt off. Detective Erin Lowe, leading the investigation, couldn't shake the image of the note left behind. It wasn't a goodbye letter. It was a confession. "I know what they did. If I die, find the blue folder in my office." That blue folder was nowhere to be found. The Haines family's grief was fractured by confusion. Daniel was calm, happy, planning a family vacation. His daughter Lydia swore her father wasn't the type to give up. But the coroner's report didn't lie. The trajectory, the powder residue, the angle, it all pointed inward. And yet, the case refused to settle. 2 weeks later, Detective Lowe got a letter in the mail. It was addressed to her, postmarked 2 days after Daniel's death. Inside, in Daniel's handwriting, was a single line. "If you're reading this, they got to me first. Check the lake." Lowe froze. Daniel was dead. But the letter's timestamp was irrefutable. Either someone mailed it on his behalf, or he knew he wouldn't make it alive. The next morning, police divers searched Lake Timberline, a few miles from Daniel's home. In the shallows, they found a locked metal box, sealed with rust and duct tape. Inside, flash drives, financial statements, and a notebook labeled Ledger of Lies. It contained detailed accounts of money transfers, shell companies, and offshore accounts, all linked to a local construction firm Daniel audited 6 months before. It seemed Daniel had discovered something. Embezzlement, maybe. But the deeper they looked, the more dangerous it became. By now, the suicide looked like anything but. Detectives tracked one of the fake accounts to an executive named Gregory Mott, a known associate of organized crime in the Pacific Northwest. Yet before police could interview him, Mott vanished. His car was later found abandoned near the state line, engines still running. Every clue Daniel had written down seemed to lead to someone who either disappeared or died suddenly. He had predicted danger in the pages of his journal, noting, "If they find out I know, they'll make it look like I did it to myself." Weeks later, Lydia received an email from her father's old account. The subject line read, "For when you're ready." Attached was a PDF file titled Truth.pdf, created 3 days before his death, but sent automatically weeks later. Inside were encrypted documents that police forensic teams worked night and day to decode. When they did, they found video recordings. Daniel, calm, focused, explaining everything he'd uncovered. Falsified tax returns, hush payments, and threats he'd received from people pretending to be from the city contracts office. The final frame of the last video was haunting. He stared into the camera and said, "If you're seeing this, I didn't take my own life." Detective Lowe replayed that line again and again. She knew, in her gut, the man had been silenced. But proving it, without the blue folder, without living witnesses, was going to take more than evidence. It was going to take Daniel's own words. Because Daniel hadn't just documented his killer. He had planted clues for the police, step by step, from beyond the grave. But when Lowe reopened the case, she discovered something even stranger. The same day Daniel died, someone else had tried to report a murder in that same neighborhood. His own. And that call came from Daniel's missing phone. The call that shouldn't exist. The 911 recording was unearthed by accident. A technician auditing old dispatch logs noticed something unusual. A call placed from Daniel Haines' phone on the very night of his supposed suicide. It was time-stamped 9:41 p.m., nearly 30 minutes after his official time of death. The voice on the line was muffled, panicked, and male, but the words were chillingly clear. "They're inside the house. They're making it look like..." Then a sudden crash. Silence. Static. And the call disconnected. Detective Erin Lowe replayed that audio a dozen times, her pulse steady but her mind racing. If the coroner's timeline was correct, Daniel was already dead when that call was made. Someone had used his phone. Or worse, someone had deliberately delayed his death to control when it appeared to happen. The call traced back to a cell tower 2 blocks from the Haines residence, meaning the phone had been taken outside the house. Lowe ordered a new forensic sweep of the property. This time, under UV and luminol light, they found faint drag marks near the back patio, scuffed lines leading toward the garden gate. Behind the gate, a trash bin. Inside the bin, wrapped in black plastic, Daniel's missing blue folder. The papers were damp but legible. They revealed the smoking gun, contracts for a housing development that didn't exist, payments routed through fake subsidiaries, all signed off by the same construction firm Daniel had audited before his death, Northern Pacific Development. The fraud totaled over $3 million. Now it made sense why someone wanted him gone, but one note stood out among the pages, scribbled hastily at the bottom of a spreadsheet in red pen. "If I vanish, start with account 14B. It's not just money they're moving." "Not just money," rattled Lowe. It implied something darker, perhaps trafficking, bribes, or evidence tampering. "Shiki." He sent the note for analysis and focused on the time-stamped entries. One entry, dated the night before Daniel's death, listed a meeting with GM in shorthand. GM. Gregory Mott. Detectives tracked a rental car tied to Mott's name. It was found abandoned on a service road near Mount Hebron. Inside were receipts, coffee cups, and a crumpled napkin with an address scrawled across it. An industrial storage unit 2 hours south. Police obtained a warrant. When the doors rolled open, the smell of stale paper and mildew filled the air. Inside, dozens of bankers' boxes. Each contained files from city contracts, falsified bids, altered ledgers, and name after name of small business owners coerced into silence. And in the corner, a dusty laptop sealed inside a plastic bag. Forensic analysis revealed encrypted emails between Mott and 3 other men, local contractors with ties to organized fraud. But one message froze Detective Lowe cold. Daniel recorded everything. Make it look like self-inflicted. Keep his phone active for 20 minutes to sync the timestamp. That line confirmed it. They staged his death. They'd faked the suicide timing by manipulating his phone data to make it appear consistent with gunshot residue analysis. It was a professional cover-up. And yet, they missed something. On Daniel's laptop, recovered from his office weeks earlier, there was a folder marked Archive. Inside was a series of video clips, security footage Daniel had secretly recorded from a camera hidden inside a pen on his desk. The final video was dated the night before he died. It showed Gregory Mott entering Daniel's home pacing nervously. Their voices were low, but the transcript software caught fragments. "Daniel, you can't bury this. It's public money." Mott, "No one's gonna believe a dead accountant." Moments later, Mott lunged forward. The camera fell sideways. The sion lip ended. Detective Lowe watched it in silence. There it was, the proof of a confrontation, but Mott was still missing. 2 weeks later, a fisherman found a body floating in the river near Mount Hebron. Male, mid-40s, wearing the same clothes Mott had last been seen in. Cause of death: drowning. But when the autopsy was completed, a note was discovered sealed in a waterproof pouch in his coat pocket. It was written in Daniel's handwriting. It read, "You thought you buried me, Greg, but I'm still talking." Lowe stared at that letter for a long time. Daniel had anticipated every move. But as she was filing the evidence, her assistant rushed into the office. Someone had just sent a new email from Daniel's account. One last message, titled simply, "Not done yet." The dead man's final email. The subject line, "Not done yet." It landed in Detective Erin Lowe's inbox at 2:13 a.m. from the same email address that Daniel Haines had used in life. No spoofing, no forwarding, no hack detected. The server logs showed it came directly from Daniel's private laptop, the one that had been locked in police evidence since his death. The contents were short, but terrifyingly deliberate. "You've got the names now, but you're still missing the one who ordered it." Attached was a single file, a PDF titled Final Entry. When Lowe opened it, she froze. It was Daniel's handwriting again. Scanned journal pages, dated 2 days before his murder, each line tighter and more frantic. "Mott isn't the one in charge. He's a messenger. They said they'd hurt Lydia if I didn't comply. The real one is inside city contracts. He wears a badge, not a suit." Lowe's stomach turned cold. A cop. She pulled the department's phone logs from the night Daniel died. One number, unlisted in the official database, kept appearing. An encrypted line traced back to Detective Howard Lorne, her former mentor and current supervisor. Lorne had been the one to sign off the initial suicide ruling, the one who insisted there was no foul play. Lowe checked Daniel's old financial records again. Buried between legitimate entries was a payment from Tilden Consulting, an alias linked to Lorne's brother-in-law. The dates aligned perfectly with the stolen funds Daniel had uncovered. The next morning, Lowe confronted Lorne in his office. He didn't deny it. "You think you're the first one he tried to warn?" he said quietly, eyes empty. "He thought he was clever, sending letters, leaving notes, encrypting everything. But you can't outsmart a system built to erase you." Lowe stepped back, her hand inching toward her radio. "He outsmarted you, Howard. He sent that email last night. Jit." A flicker of confusion passed over Lorne's face. "That's not possible." "Oh, it's possible," she replied. "You see, Daniel recorded more than one confrontation. The night before he died, he met you." Lorne's composure cracked. "You can't prove that." Lowe pulled out a flash drive from her pocket. "We can. His daughter found the original hidden camera. He filmed everything, including your visit." The silence that followed was heavy. Lorne exhaled slowly, shoulders sinking. He should have stopped digging. Then he reached for his drawer. Lowe was faster. Within seconds, officers burst through the door, guns drawn. Lorne was arrested without a word. On his desk lay a resignation letter dated 2 days earlier, as if he'd known this moment was coming. Over the next few weeks, the truth unraveled like a slow-motion collapse. The Northern Pacific fraud scheme ran deep. A network of officials laundering city funds through construction contracts, fake bids, and shell firms. Lorne had used his badge to clean their trail, marking whistleblowers like Daniel as unstable. But Daniel hadn't gone quietly. He'd scheduled automated emails, postmarked documents, and physical evidence caches timed to release if he failed to log in for more than 48 hours. His final one, "Not done yet," had triggered when the investigation reached Lorne's name. The man had literally solved his own murder, from beyond the grave. Lowe attended Daniel's memorial months later. Lydia read a final letter her father had written to her, sealed in an envelope left in his study. His handwriting trembled, but was defiant. "If you're reading this, I did the right thing. Truth doesn't die, even if I do. Don't hate the world, kiddo. Just make it honest again." When the ceremony ended, Lowe stood alone by the lake where they'd found his evidence box. The reflection of the moon shimmered on the surface, calm and endless. Her phone buzzed. One new email. No subject. No sender. It contained only 3 words. "Case closed. D. She looked around. Nothing but still water and wind. Somehow, she smiled, because in the end, Daniel Haines didn't just leave behind clues. He left a legacy, proof that even when corruption buries the truth, someone, somewhere, will dig it back up. If you thought this story was chilling, the next case makes this one look simple. Hit subscribe, because what you're about to hear next might just be the one case no one wants solved.